because you've written an Atlantic piece that's entitled, "Despite Everything You Think You Know, America is on the Right Track." And in it, you write this: "The story of America is a story of convulsion and reinvention. We go through moments when the established order stops working, people and movements rise up, and things change. The culture is a collective response to the problems of the moment. As new problems become obvious, the culture shifts. If there is one lesson from the events of the past year, it is that open societies such as ours have an ability to adapt in a way that closed societies simply do not. Russia has turned violent and malevolent. China has grown more authoritarian and inept. Meanwhile, free democratic societies have united around the Ukrainians as they battle to preserve the liberal world order. America is a wounded giant, and many of its wounds are self-inflicted, but as America has always been a wounded giant, and it has always stumbled forward, driven by an inner turbine of ambition and aspiration that knows no rest." It's so funny you say that.
If you're looking at it that way.
When I talk, David, to foreign leaders, I said, I always say the same thing. And ambassadors, I say, listen, let me help you out here. Yes, we are a wounded giant. Yes, we stumble around. But to borrow from that Lincoln quote, we always stumble forward. So if you're going to place your bets and think that maybe you're going to bet on China or Russia, you're going to lose in the end.
Yeah, I think that's right. We often get compared these days to the 1890s. And in the 1890s, we had political corruption like crazy. We had rampant inequality. We had the oligarchs. We had lynchings. All these terrible things. And there are terrible things in America today. And yet the 1890s did not lead to American decline. They led to the 20th century, which is the American century. And so my basic point is that a country can do a lot of things wrong if it gets the one thing right. And that's unleashing the creativity of his people. And so my friend Tyler Cowen, who's an economist at George Mason, says, take a piece of paper and list all the things wrong with the country: climate change, racism, the rise of authoritarianism on the right, and then put that all in one column. And then take another column, write 7 words: America has more talent than ever before. And Tyler's point is that column B is more important than column A. And so I agree with that. And so when I look at the country, I think we have a lot of big problems. I think we also have a lot of progress that we've had. We had wage stagnation for decades, but that ended in the 90s. Now wages are growing. We had inequality, income inequality. That ended around 2007. Inequality is coming down, in part because of what Obama did, in part because wages for the bottom are going up. And so we're doing a lot to educate people. We have the finest educational system in the world. And we're seeing groups rise and succeed. Let me just give you one example that's a result of our educational system. Hispanic Americans have seen their dropout rates come way down. They've seen college graduations go way up. Hispanic college enrollment surpassed white enrollment in 2012 or so, something like that. And so Hispanic wage growth has been higher than any other major group. And so these are the good news stories that are just out there, and I just wanted to tell a few of them.
Well, and you talked about column A and column B. Column B usually rectifies eventually the problems in column A. If the past is prologue, that'll happen again. And David, when I talk about DBT and talk about how two things can be true at the same time, we can have a political system right now that is corrosive for a lot of different reasons. Social media, extremists understanding that the more extreme they get, the more money they can raise online, the breakdown of political parties. We can talk about that. But when we just look at Washington, we miss a big picture, and something I've been talking about a lot lately. Think about the fact that childhood poverty is at 75-year lows. Teenage pregnancy, 60-year lows, which, by the way, conservatives 20, 30 years ago used the teenage pregnancy as a benchmark of a collapsing society. Right now, teenage pregnancy at 60-year lows. The dollar is at a generational high against other currencies across the globe. You look at our United States military. If we use David Kennedy's measurement in the rise and fall of the great powers from the late 80s, our military is stronger relative to the rest of the world's militaries than at any military at any point in the history of the world. You look at all of these different measurements, more job openings than ever before. You look at all of these measurements, there are a lot of things going on in this country that often get eclipsed by the insanity of that building behind you.
Yeah, it's the insanity of the building behind me, which is a real insanity. Let's not minimize that. And a little bit is us in our business. We in the media, I think we've been a little too negative, frankly. And I include myself in some of that. And there's a lot of negative stuff to write about. And so I'm not saying we're wrong. But I think one of the things you've seen is a radical rise, 150% rise in the number of headlines that are meant to make people fearful and angry. And there's a lot of angry stuff to be going on, but I think we like, if it bleeds, it leads, and we want to get attention that way. But we don't pay enough attention to the stuff that's going on, especially in localities. One of the things that's a glory of this country is we're just incredibly innovative people. We're just very energetic. So there's something called the Global Innovation Index, and the United States ranks second in the world in how innovative we are after Switzerland. And then there's been the problem, I think, over the last many years where wealth has flowed to the coasts. And so there's been a ton of investment in California, New York, and places, and D.C., and places like that. But, you know, I saw a map that was produced by Rahm Emanuel, who we all know, but who's now our ambassador to Japan. And he showed where are the big investments being made. America leads the world in the number of foreign investment that come into this country. Nobody else gets as much investment as we do. And he produced a map. Where are that going to? And of the big, super, over $1 billion investments, only 2 are going to California. But 5 and 6 were going to Iowa, to Illinois, to the industrial Midwest. And so there are a lot of people really trying to get the wealth spread around and the jobs spread around. And there's some sign that we're healing in that way. And so that's another good thing that's happening in America.
So, David, I want to ask you about education, another point you write about in this story. Obviously, the education system in our country is under constant scrutiny and constant criticism. The argument is that many districts are underfunded when actually you found that compared to other democracies, thriving democracies around the world, we spend much more money. It's just the way it's being spent probably isn't always the smartest way. But that investment in young people beginning in elementary school, middle school, high school, into our universities, of which 8 of 10 of the best universities in the world, you point out, are here in the United States. What are some of the outcomes of that investment in young people in this country?
Yeah, we could do a lot better, but, you know, we have a situation in the United States where we just throw money at things, and we don't always spend it so well, but if you throw enough money at a problem, sometimes you can make some progress. So we spend twice as much as our peer countries in university education. We spend, you know, 30 or 40% more in elementary school education. And so we just spend a lot of money at things. And so what you get is a skilled workforce. I would want to change that spending, but there's a lot of innovation going throughout the educational system. And so what you see is the number of people who are working at skilled jobs has been rising steadily year after year after year. And as you said, our university system is the envy of the world. Not only the fancy schools, the 8 out of the top 10 in the world. But, you know, I was up at a school in Buffalo a couple of years ago, and 19% of the students were international. And so the students were coming from all around the world because they wanted to be in our school systems. And some number of them will go back, which is great. We want the rest of the world to do well. And some number of them will stay. And so as long as you've got that magnet, and I think the number of foreign students who are now in the U.S., it obviously dropped during COVID, but I think it hit record highs. And so, you know, I teach at a college, and I've got students from all over the world. And they just hunger to come here, and they're phenomenal students.